I don't know if you guys can hear the birds chirping. It's early in the morning today, but what we specifically are hearing is James Borrego, head coaching candidacy for the Cleveland Cavaliers, is gaining momentum. Yeah, I think this is a good hiring. First off, I know people are going to be like, well, if they're firing JB Bickerstaff because of offensive creativity issues and they're just going to hire another defensive coach, why would they do that? James Borrego is probably, besides like the older guys like the Terry Stotts of the world, all the coaches that have NBA experience that are available are on the older side. While James Borrego is still a younger coach, I believe in his 40s, and he's from the Spurs lineage. He's just with the New Orleans Pelicans, and he's a guy who, in the past, he has coached two separate teams. I believe he was the interim coach for the Orlando Magic, and then he coached 4 seasons with the Charlotte Hornets where they improved every year. And it was a really weird ending how everything ended in Charlotte. But what we're hearing specifically with James Borrego is that James Borrego, according to Brian Windhorst, is gaining momentum as the potential new head coach of the Cleveland Cavaliers on Get Up Monday morning. The Los Angeles Lakers were in a holding pattern this weekend as they had been awaiting the answer to Dan Hurley. Dan Hurley said no. And we know that James Borrego is Anthony Davis's preferred candidate, as James Borrego's first stint in New Orleans coincided with Anthony Davis's time in New Orleans. So Anthony Davis has a fondness for Mr. James Borrego, which could lead to James Borrego, going back into the Lakers candidacy. But I think the Cleveland Cavaliers probably know that, and they're probably trying to lock up James. Now, quote, other candidates that they're interested in are moving on elsewhere. So James Borrego, who they've interviewed about 10 days ago, he's getting momentum in Cleveland. He's expected to interview there early this week as a potential leading candidate developing with the Cavs, end quote. Borrego's the top assistant with the Pelicans, and he's been credited in developing the team's defense and their depth. So I think they're hoping that a guy like James Borrego, who's well respected in the industry, will probably put together a pretty good coaching staff, and he has experience being a coach and experience coaching a young team and helping a young team develop. And I think that's the whole thought process there, is that they hope to have a guy that can help this team develop the back end of the roster and make the most out of the top end of it. So I do believe James is the best guy for them at this point. I don't know where you would go after this. One of the things I think about James Borrego is interesting as this whole season grows, or off season grows, is we're 2 weeks away from the draft, and there's multiple teams that do not have a star, or like a star candidate or a front runner for their head coaching job. It's just not the Cavs. I think they're going to close in on James Borrego. And we know that James Borrego, according to Woj, remains a guy with the Lakers. But if I were the Cavs, I would close in on him. I think that's what needs to happen. But let me hear your guys' thoughts. What do you guys think of that? It's definitely an interesting development. It's something to keep an eye out. But that's it, guys. Hit that like and subscribe button. Until next time, guys. But be sure.